Welcome to this short film on the key changes in the GOTS version 4.0.
Hello, Kevin. I would like to understand the new GOTS 4.0 version from you.
Yes, Peter. Let me first give you a brief background about GOTS. After this, I will discuss the key changes in the version 4.0. The Global Organic Textile Standard, or GOTS, was developed by leading international standard setters, namely OTA USA, IVN Germany, Soil Association UK, and JOCA Japan. Together they defined requirements for organic status of textiles. This covers environmentally and socially responsible manufacturing, right from harvesting up to labeling, in order to provide credible assurance to the consumer. The GOTS standard is revised every 3 years. The revision process includes multi-stakeholder input procedure, which ensures its transparency. The first version, GOTS1, was launched in 2005. GOTS version 2.0 was released in 2008. GOTS version 3.0 was published on the 1st of March 2011. And now GOTS version 4 has been launched in March 2014. The GOTS version 4.0 is launched along with an implementation manual. This manual provides interpretation or clarifications for specific criteria listed in the GOTS main document. Additionally, a list of relevant changes provides a chronological summary of the relevant changes in each chapter made to the criteria in GOTS version 4.0 as compared to version 3.0. Now let's understand the key changes in the GOTS 4.0 version. The changes made in the GOTS version 4.0 are twofold. They are either specifications or clarifications of the existing changes, or a new criterion has been added. The GOTS version 4.0 is divided into 5 main sections. 1. Principles. 2. Criteria. 3. Minimum social criteria. 4. Quality assurance systems, and 5. Annexures. Let's look at the changes made in the chapter on principles. In the implementation manual, information has been added that the deadline for compliance to the new version is 12 months after the release of the version, unless other or specific advice is given. In the version 3.0, under Chapter 1.2, the scope covered fiber, yarns, fabrics, clothes, and home textiles. In the GOTS 4.0 version, additionally, fashion textile accessories, textile toys, mattresses and bedding, and textile personal care products have been explicitly listed. It should be noted that the new scope is a clarification of the earlier scope. The scope is clarified to ensure that textiles containing electronic components and furniture are not included. In this version, mandatory instructions for policies and templates for Certificate of Compliance or Scope certificates have been detailed, which is available on the GOTS website. Also, it is clarified that subcontractors and their relevant processing and manufacturing steps need to be listed on the scope certificate of the certified entity. The certifiers will need to enter all GOTS certified entities into the GOTS public database. Unlike the 3.0 version, in the 4.0 version, the certified entity acquires a license number on the GOTS certificate, which has to be stated on the GOTS label for the GOTS goods, along with the approved certifier reference. The GOTS label will now contain the GOTS logo, the GOTS label grade, and the reference to the certifier, as well as the license number of the certified entity. By entering the license number from an on-product label into the free text field of the search engine on the GOTS website, the certified entity's data can be verified. The following reference documents have been added to version 4.0. Policies and templates for issuing scope certificates and transaction certificates, and letters of approval for colorants and auxiliary agents. Let us understand what these documents are in a little bit more detail. Scope certificates, SCs. Processors, manufacturers, traders, and retailers have demonstrated their ability to comply with the relevant GOTS criteria in the corresponding certification procedure to an approved certifier to receive a GOTS scope certificate of compliance that lists the products or product categories which can be offered certified and labeled to GOTS and the corresponding production stages. Transactional certificate, TCs. Transaction certificates are issued by the GOTS certifier of the supplier and list the concrete products and shipment details, including the buyer's name and address, and declare the GOTS certification status of the shipped goods. Letters of approval. Letter of approval declare for the listed colorants and/or textile auxiliaries that these are approved as inputs for application in the processing of GOTS certified textile products. Now let me summarize the key changes in the Principles section of the GOTS 4.0 version and its implementation manual. The scope has been specified to cover fashion textile accessories, textile toys, mattresses and bedding products, and textile personal care products. Policies and templates for issuing scope certificates, SCs, and transaction certificates, TCs, and letters of approval for chemical inputs are introduced in the reference documents. Complete labeling should contain the GOTS logo, the label grade, and the reference to the certified entity, and labeling must now be the license number.
Okay, can we now discuss the changes in Section 2?
Peter, Section 2 is all about the GOTS criteria. This section of the GOTS standard covers criteria for organic fiber production, fiber material composition, chemical inputs, processing parameters from spinning to finishing, GOTS end articles and accessories used therein, environmental management, wastewater treatment, storage, packaging and transport, record keeping and internal quality assurance. The GOTS version 4.0 has revised the list of recognized organic certifications for fiber production as listed here. These are the EU Organic Regulation EC 834/2007, USDA National Organic Program or NOP, and any other standard approved by IFOAM family of standards for relevant scope of production, crop or animal production. The list of recognized accreditations has been revised, and these are displayed in the box to the right. In the section on chemical inputs, the explicitly banned substances in Section 3.1 have been further extended to cover the following substances. It should be noted that all these substances have been already banned in previous GOTS versions, as they do not pass the general requirements related to hazards and toxicity of Chapter 2.3.2. The reason for explicitly listing these substances is to point out more clearly that all those hazardous substances that are in public spotlight, for example, substances highlighted by Greenpeace in their detox campaign, are naturally banned in GOTS. The changes made in the 4.0 standard for input chemicals include more precise wordings for GMO, genetically modified organism, and PFCs, perfluorinated compounds, has been introduced. All inputs must contain less than 1% permanent AOX regardless of their actual contribution to wastewater, with the exception of yellow, green, and violet pigments, where the AOX limit in these pigments is 5%. It should be noted that AOX is considered permanent if the halogen is permanently bound to the molecule, for example, in the chromophore of a dyestuff or pigment, and cannot get hydrolyzed or released during fiber processing. The implementation manual also lists some changes. No intentional addition of prohibited substance listed in the standard is allowed in any preparation at any level or concentration. Unintentional or unavoidable contaminations of such substances in input chemicals must not lead to any exceeding of residue limits in textiles as listed in the criteria for GOTS goods. Assessment of endocrine disrupting substances with reference to the EU report Annexure 1 towards the establishment of a priority list of endocrine disrupting substances has been added. Aniline has been added as a prohibited azo dye with a limit of 100 milligrams per kilogram. Under the requirements related to hazards and toxicity, the risk phrases for health and environmental hazards have been replaced by hazard statements as per Global Harmonized Systems (GHS) wherever available. In the GOTS document as well as the manual, the procedure for assessment of input chemicals for use in processing has been specified. These are: all chemical inputs have to be approved by GOTS certifier, preparations have to be evaluated and trade names to be registered on approved lists prior to usage, MSDS available for all chemical inputs. Approved certifiers should add additional toxicological and environmental data. The norms and directives for MSDS preparation have also been outlined in the standard and manual. Now let us summarize the changes made for inputs in Section 2. Organic certifications and recognized accreditations for organic fiber are detailed. The list of substances which are explicitly listed as banned has been further extended to include SCCPs, halogenated FRs, chlorobenzenes, endocrine disruptors, formaldehyde-containing or generating inputs, and aniline. Permanent AOX limit for inputs tightened to less than 1%. Risk phrases are replaced with relevant hazard statements wherever available. Requirements for assessment of chemical inputs to be used in processing stages have been specified. Under specific requirements and test parameters, the following changes have been made. Synthetic sizes can be used without limitation in the total size recipe if they can be recycled or recovered with a ratio of greater than 80%. It has been clarified in this version that in printing all methods using aromatic solvents, phthalates, and chlorinated plastics such as PVC are prohibited. Under additional fiber materials, the use of conventional cotton, conventional Angora wool, and virgin polyester is no longer possible. Improved regenerated and synthetic fibers permitted up to 30%. Now let me tell you about the specification on regenerated fibers in the GOTS standard. Regenerated fibers that are from certified organic raw materials, sustainable forestry management, or recycled from pre- or post-consumer waste are permitted now up to 30% for label grade made with organic. If regenerated fibers are used that are not made from such environmentally improved raw materials, their use is still limited to 10%, respectively up to 25% in socks, leggings, and sportswear. The verification of proof for regenerated fibers means that the raw material must be from certified organic production, sustainable forestry management, or certified recycled. Similarly, recycled synthetic or polymer fibers must be from pre- or post-consumer waste. The use of virgin synthetic fibers, except polyester fibers, is limited to max 10%, 25% for socks, leggings, and sportswear. The use of recycled synthetic fibers must be demonstrated through certification to a recognized standard as displayed here. There have been changes for accessories also. Asbestos, carbon and silver fibers, chlorinated plastics, and chrome from leather tanning are prohibited. Non-textile fillings must be from organic origin, if applicable. Latex foam used in mattresses must be derived from certified organic or sustainable forestry management. Polyurethane foams are not allowed. Let me now tell you about the changes in the areas related to the supply chain. These are environmental management, wastewater treatment, storage, packaging and transport and record keeping, and internal quality assurance. In the Environmental Management section, it is specified that all companies must have a written environmental policy and procedures to allow monitoring and improvement of relevant environmental performances. Also, it has been specified that besides data on energy and water consumption per kilogram of textile output, data on their resources must be available. Under wastewater management, the temperature of treated effluent discharged to surface waters has been lowered to less than 35 degrees Celsius in the GOTS version 4.0 from 40 degrees Celsius that was in the GOTS version 3.0. Also, the test method for COD is specified, and verification measures to be taken to assure compliance of wastewater requirements with applicable legislation have been introduced in the manual. Under storage, packaging, and transport, the following specifications have been made. Recycled paper or cardboard or paper from sustainable forestry managed wood should be used for GOTS goods only. However, this is not required for bulk packaging. For record keeping and internal quality assurance, the changes are: all GOTS certified entities must receive and maintain GOTS transaction certificates for the whole quantity of GOTS goods purchased. Maximum time period that a TC can cover is 3 months. It has been specified that all records relevant to inspection have to be kept for 5 years at least. Now let us understand the changes in the limits for residues in GOTS goods. These changes are applicable to finished products and fiber materials and accessories. As in every revision process, the latest insights regarding textile chemistry and residue testing methods were considered. Various applicable criteria and limit values have been newly introduced or revised in this context. On this slide, relevant changes for GOTS goods are mentioned. The limit value of sum of NP, OP, NPEO, and OPEO should be less than 20 milligrams per kilogram. Limit value for aniline is less than 100 milligrams per kilogram. In PFCs, PFOS, PFOA have an individual limit value of less than 0.001 milligram per kilogram, whereas FTOH limit value is less than 0.01 milligram per kilogram. DMEP was added as a restricted phthalate. The limit value remains sum of all phthalates less than 100 milligrams per kilogram. This slide details the relevant changes for additional fiber materials and accessories. I will now highlight the important changes in Section 2. Virgin polyester, conventional cotton, and conventional angora are no longer permitted as fibers in the non-organic additional fiber content. Regenerated fibers and recycled synthetic fibers permitted up to 30 if they were made from environmentally improved and certified raw materials. Verification proofs and certifications for these fibers are defined in the manual. Latex foam must be derived from certified organic production or sustainable forestry management. Residue parameters and limit values have been revised and test methods added in line with current knowledge.
Thanks, Kevin, for the information on Section 2, which is the GOTS criteria. Are there any changes in Section 3 or social criteria?
Yes, Peter. Let me explain these to you. In GOTS version 4.0 under Section 3.1, it has been clarified that the minimum social criteria are also applicable to trading stages in case workers are being employed. Under working conditions, that is, Section 3.4, 3 new criteria are included. Health and safety training must include fire prevention training and evacuation drills. It has been specified that the workers must all be provided with appropriate personal protective equipment, and it should be ensured that the PPE is used when necessary. The Material Safety Data Sheets, or MSDS, should be maintained for all the chemicals applied, and any health and safety measures mentioned on the MSDS must be followed. Under the Social Compliance Management criteria, that is Section 3.11, it has been specified that it is necessary the minimum social criteria is made available in local languages. Let us look at the changes made in the quality assurance system. For quality assurance systems, changes have been made in the sections on auditing and on testing. Under Section 4.1, Auditing of Processing, Manufacturing, and Trading Stages, the changes are: option of remote inspections instead of on-site for traders who do not have or subcontract processing or manufacturing activities has been provided. The option to grant exceptions from the annual on-site inspection cycle for small-scale subcontractors with a low-risk potential regarding environmental and social criteria has been specified. In both cases, on-site inspection must at least be performed for the first year and every third year of granted certification. Where audit reports from the following internationally recognized social compliance schemes are available for inspected facilities, these should be screened and considered for the GOTS verification procedures: Fairware Foundation, FWF, Social Accountability 8000, SA 8000, Worldwide Responsible Accredited Production, RAP, and Business Social Compliance Initiative, BSCI. Under Section 4.2, Testing of Technical Quality Parameters and Residues, the changes are: it has been specified that beside the GOTS goods and the components of these products, also chemical inputs, used colorants, and auxiliaries are to be included. Considerations on genetically modified, that is, GM testing, have been included. There have been some changes in the annexures to the GOTS standard. You need to understand these as well. Annex A, with specific requirements for textile personal care products, has been introduced. Annex B of the GOTS version 4.0 has been revised to include definitions of the following:
Thanks a lot, Kevin, for this informative session on the changes in GOTS 4.0 version.
It's my pleasure.